Hello there, thanks for joining. So not that long ago I put a little poll on my channel and asked if you would like to see the inside of this catalogue, and many of you answered. Thanks very much for sharing your thoughts, and you were quite interested in seeing it, and I've finally got round to having a look at it. So here it is today. This is a catalogue from a company called J. Hebden and Sons Limited, and they were in Burnley and also Nelson as well. And it's from 1938 to 1939, so just before a mad Austrian guy decided to have a grand tour of Europe. So it's going to be quite interesting to see what models were available to the young lad at that time. You can see the cheeky chap up here, this nice picture of the guy, very typical of the era, and obviously they're pushing the Meccano brand. It says quality toys, and it does include Hornby trains, which, I think is the most interesting out of these, but we also have some Meccano aeroplanes, Dinky Toys, motor cars, speedboats and dinky buildings, so a lot to tempt the young lad in the 1930s. This catalogue is showing its age. It's absolutely falling apart, but it is really old now. And obviously being over 80 years old, you kind of expect that. So it is really amazing that this catalogue has survived this length of time, and we've actually managed to have a chance to have a look and see what things were like back then. Anyway, we'll flick through the pages and we'll check it out together. So we start off by getting this little bit of dialogue about how good Meccano toys are and that you can build different things with them. A very excited young lad here as well. On this side, we have about aeroplane construction outfits. This one does talk about a biplane and a monoplane. Quite interesting to find out that you used to be able to get aeroplanes from Meccano that you could put together. We've even got some details here about whether you'll get a military or a civilian aeroplane version. On the next page here, we have something about Dinky Toys and the dollhouse furniture. I never knew that Dinky did doll's house furniture before, so this is really quite interesting. Something to outfit a little house with. Very typical of the period as well, though. And here we have the model car constructor outfits. So this is looking really good. We've got a saloon coupe built with the #1 motor car outfit. So there's a lot of opportunity to build different things here, I think. And here on the next page we have about a car garage that you can get, as well as another car. This looks absolutely fantastic. It's almost like an MG or something like that, but a great two-seater sports car. And then we come on to electrical outfits and even chemical outfits as well. What an incredible selection of toys that the 30s child had. And here we have something for the younger builder. It's the Dinky Builder outfits. Some small items like a Porter's truck and remote van. Very crude, but gets them started in Meccano world. And over here we have some more constructor outfits with some additional models that you can build, even things like this crane and a Bluebird speed car as well. What a fantastic model. And that continues over these pages as well. There's a tram car and a racing car as well. And here you can even build Tower Bridge as well. And it continues on as the kits get bigger, so do the models. We've now got a galleon ship and even a twin-engined flying boat up here as well. And the biggest of the sets, you can have this mechanical excavator. That's really quite cool. A gantry crane as well. And you can put these motors in as well, 20 volt and 6 volt it's in, and there's a number of different motors that you can add in. And we have the clockwork motors here, and then the spare parts. It's all very technical. I guess the child of the 30s had to have a bit of technical knowledge about how to make their toys from these parts. And that continues for the next couple of pages. And here we have some electrical equipment that you can have, transformers, resistance controllers and circuit breakers as well. So you can really go to town with your models back then in the 30s and add in all these electrical accessories. Now we come on to look at what I think is the most interesting part of this catalogue, but I'm biased a little bit. This is the 00 Gauge Hornby Duplo trains. And the introduction up here is talking about this year being the first year that Hornby Duplo systems are available in Gauge 00. It's saying about the benefits of this scale, including the tiny locomotives and the coaches or wagons they haul are fascinating in their perfection. Such a great bit of advertising blurb there, and it just shows that at that time 00 was seen as being the smallest scale. Of course, we've got many different scales these days. The prices down here are all quite interesting. We've got the electric streamline locomotive, auto reversing and tender of the LNER, and that's priced $29 and $6. I'll try and figure out how much that is in today's money, or at least in decimal money. I'll put that on screen if I'm able to do that. The picture here is leading with the streamlined LNER locomotive number 4498. It doesn't look really good at the front. I think the profile isn't that great, but it does have these shortened teak looking coaches as well. A fantastic looking model, very eye-catching and striking. I'm sure it would be very exciting for a child to receive that. Over on this side we've got a bit of a cruder tank engine with Great Western Railway markings on it. It's an 062 tank loco and some wagons behind it. And it's talking down here about track as well. 16.5mm, approximately 5/8 of an inch, with a 15-inch radius. We've got some points here and curved track as well, all pre-ballasted as well. You also have the option of having electric or clockwork locomotives on this one. And now we come into some of the accessories. Over here we have 00 gauge rolling stock and accessories, including these coaches and some wagons as well. They're really heavy on the guards vans, but we don't have much in the way of others. We've just got a box car and a coal wagon. We do have buffer stops and some figures and a signal box. And over here we have a mainline station, an island platform station and a goods depot as well. Some electrics and some tunnels and a signal already. So that was the 00 stuff. If this has just been released this year, that's quite an interesting collection of items that have been released as the first issue. Now we come on to the Hornby O-gauge trains. Up here it's talking about the popularity has been increasing since it's been introduced over 20 years ago. And there's a very stark warning here, you must not connect these up to the mains because you get an electric shock. Well, it's obvious, but you've got to tell the kids that. And here we have a diagram. Fun with Hornby Railway. It says operating the Princess Elizabeth from the transformer at the line side. This young lad here with his school uniform still on, having a good old time running this locomotive here with these accessories. And on the right here we do actually get a closer up view of the Princess Elizabeth, a 20-volt electric locomotive with tender and automatic reversing. It's very crude by today's standards. You can see some compromises here, especially around this part here. But it does look really good, and of the time. It has some information down here about this locomotive and where it ran, Glasgow to London, average speed of 70 miles an hour. At the time that was incredibly fast. It says this one comes with a tender and a special presentation box for £5. I think that's 5 shillings and no pence. I'm not sure adjusted for inflation how much that would be. Again, if I can find that information online, I'll pop it onto the video in post-production. It certainly has some really interesting quality features here. It's showing that it's all made of metal, and it has some really interesting parts it's highlighting, like the commutator and the brush holders. So it's not majoring on the actual detail of the locomotive, it's more about the mechanics and how good it's been constructed. Now we have a spread of various locomotive packs that you can get. So we've up here got an electric locomotive with a passenger train set with 2 carriages, again to run on the 20-volt electric with automatic reversing. This seems to be saying that you can get this locomotive in different liveries, including the Flying Scotsman. Well, there you go, you've been going since the 1930s. The Royal Scot and also the Cornish Riviera Express, hauled by the Caerphilly Castle. So some of these are still being produced by Hornby today. Obviously not in this wheel configuration and this scale either, because you'll notice that it is actually a 442 setup on this locomotive. So it's just indicative of these, but it does give you the option to run different types of trains depending on what you want. Down here we've got a different locomotive, again with the same wheel setup, but it's obviously a southern region locomotive. This one says the Golden Arrow, hauled by the Lord Nelson locomotive, so I guess they've made this one Lord Nelson. And we've got 2 carriages here which look like Pullman cars, again shortened as well. So both of these two look as though you can get it in the electric and also clockwork as well. And over here we've got another view of the Clockwork Riviera Blue passenger train set. And this is quite interesting. We've got the E320 and E36 electric and number 3C Clockwork Metropolitan train sets. Fantastic looking retro vehicle there with 2 carriages as well. On this page we now have the Yorkshireman LMS hauled by the Standard Compound. This one now is a 440, so again, you know, these aren't accurate models, but they're indicative of it, and it comes with 2 LMS coaches. I guess these would be maroon as well. And here's a schools class locomotive called Eton, and it's a 440 as well. Fantastic looks though, it's captured the look of the model, shortened it a bit, and obviously dropped a wheel or 2. Hornby solid steel track, you've got some straight, you can see it's 3 rail, curved, and we've also got some points over here, electric points, hand operated. And now a 2-page spread. I think somebody's done some calculations here to maybe add up their pocket money to see whether they could buy some of these ones, because it's written all across the top here, some calculations and numbers. Here we've got an LMS tank engine, a 442, with 2 coaches as well. All of these seem to be both electric and clockwork, so I won't keep on going on about that. And down here it looks like the same locomotive with Southern Railways written on it. It's again a 442. That looks like a light at the front as well, just a light bulb sticking out the front of the locomotive. And it has a selection of wagons here, all Southern region. It's got a coal wagon, it looks like a cattle car, a tanker, and another brake van at the back as well. Over here, Queen of Scots, LNER, Bournemouth Bell, the Comet, LMS, and Torby Express and Great Western Railway. So lots of different options on this locomotive, but it's just an 040 with a four-wheel tender and very short coaches as well. It almost looks quite comical, but it's absolutely fantastic of the era. And down here we have an LNER tank engine, again 040, and it's got a very similar coal wagon as we saw over here with the Southern Region 1, and we have the same tanker and the same guards van, this time in NE logo. Another double page spread of even more Gauge Hornby stuff. Up here, the Cambrian Coast Express and the Great Western livery, the Pines Express, the Aberdonian and LNER, and the Bournemouth Limited in the Southern Region, all 040 locomotives. So I guess it's just different colour versions of this locomotive with some variations on these coaches here. And down here we have the same locomotive in a different colour scheme, and this time it's hauling some wagons, and these are very similar to what we've seen already. This is quite interesting over here. For particulars of deferred payment terms, see page 68. So they're offering credit terms already for these locomotives. I guess they were quite expensive at the time. And over here we have another tank engine, Great Western 040. Now we're starting to see the similarities of these wagons, so these aren't anything different, it's just got different logos written on them. And then we come to this one here, the Silver Jubilee train set LNER clockwork only. This is almost like a version of Play Trains because it looks quite comical in its 040 arrangement there. It's obvious what it's trying to be, but it just looks almost like a comedy version of it. The tender looks very streamlined and quite cool, and then you've got this strange looking carriage at the back. So clockwork only, I guess it was a cheaper price, but it would be a great starter, and it does look quite stylish in its own right. And yet more double spreads of more options. Up here we've got a goods train set, clockwork only, again it's an 040. This time it's a Great Western Railway with two coal wagons behind. This one's only a 3-plank wagon, it's quite interesting. And then we have an 040 with a tender in the Great Western livery, and we've got two Pullman carriages in that really shortened length as well, which makes them look really comical. On this side we've got an LMS tank engine, and again we're seeing these Pullman cars. Here we have a Southern Region 040 tank engine, and the same wagons now with Southern Region on it, and this Royal Daylight we've seen a few times already. And now we're starting to get into what looks like a bit cheaper version of these packs. We've got this locomotive here, an 040 again in clockwork only with northeastern coal wagons. And then here we've got an M1 and M2 passenger train set, clockwork only with the Pullman carriages. And then 3 over on this side, again it's just variations on a theme of this locomotive and different wagons. We've got some really simplified Pullman carriages on this one. And here we've got a tipping wagon and one that looks like it's maybe got a bath in it. And then we've got a different tank here with Motor Spirit. That actually looks quite cool. So here we have Hornby train sets, the complete model railways. Some fantastic boxes to buy here, which have got trains in them and some accessories as well. We've got some examples in the centre here of 2 illustrations showing how this could look. You've got things like a level crossing, a station, a bridge, and some people, and even a cow. So it really is quite an interesting set to get, and you get them in these fantastic looking boxes as well. Look at how that's presented, that just looks fantastic. So this spread here is just focusing on the locomotives. I think we've seen all these ones already, and now we have all the coaches and wagons here. Obviously all very shortened versions of these coaches, and especially so in this style. But we do have some wagons over here. Here's a banana wagon, some guards vans as well. Really quite a fantastic selection of rolling stock to tempt the young hobbyist. And the wagons continue here. Some noticeable things, I like this one here with a crane on it as well. We've got the conflats down here with their containers. You got a bogie cattle truck up here and a luggage van up here as well. And a high capacity bogie here. This looks like modern day American gondola wagons. This is a fantastic wagon, the trolley wagon with cable drums as well. That looks really quite cool. And there's various other things here, some noticeable things including these tipping wagons, this one with a cable drum, and this one with a little brakeman's cab as well. I didn't know you could get those in the UK. And here's another selection of wagons, mostly tankers here, but we do have an American caboose here. That's a bit random. We've got the old barrel wagon, I do actually quite like those. And the other things like this small crane, which looks really quite cool. And there's another tank car up here, which is American style, so I'm not quite sure why they've decided to do American versions of these, because this catalogue didn't highlight any American locomotives that could pull these wagons. On this side, we've got some accessories, mostly signals and lighting, but we do have some signal boxes which have been coloured in by somebody in the past. Some kid has decided that this should be pink and purple. Well, fair enough. And the accessories continue here where we've got some buildings. We already saw on the train set that you can get this bridge here, this kind of footbridge. And we've got some station buildings and a turntable, a crane, and goods depots and engine sheds as well. Everything you could possibly imagine, in fact. Here we have some fantastic writing of the time. It says, "It is important to note that the whole range of Hornby rolling stock and all Hornby accessories can be used in conjunction with both clockwork and electric railways. Remember that the simplest Hornby train set can be developed into a complete miniature railway by making small additions to it from time to time." Well, that's very important information that we should all remember. And here we've got some quite interesting parts as well. We've got little oil cans as well. They look so cool. And even a little Meccano lubricating oil up here. I've actually seen a couple of bottles of that in real life still in existence to this day. And we've even got things like water tanks as well. And accessories fitted for electrical lighting, which is very interesting. It looks like a lighting kit that you can get that will run some lighting into some of the buildings we've just seen. And accessories continue over here. Some of these things you can still pick up today, like this little signboard here. Obviously now in plastic. These I think are all in metal. But you get a shunter's pole as well, mansell wheels, and other little line side accessories. Now we've got some scenic accessories including tunnels and cuttings, which is really quite cool, and level crossings as well. Here it's talking about train name boards. So these are for the number 2 special Pullman coaches and number 2 corridor coaches, which are fitted with brackets to hold them. The boards add greatly to the realistic appearance of the coaches. The following are available, so there's all different ones here, including the Flying Scotsman, the Golden Arrow, Queen of Scots as well. So it's all iconic trains from the past with really evocative names. Really brings it to life as well. We now come to the track. This is the tin plate track for electric use. Various different things we've got here, including points, crossovers, and even this double point here. And the track continues over here. This time it's for the clockwork. Very similar. We've got crossover points and various straights and crossings as well. So that was it for the trains. Really very interesting. I could see how children of the time would be really excited about what was on offer there. Now we're coming on to Dinky Toys though, so we're out of the train stuff and we're into the more static models. This has a selection of Dinky aeroplanes which are available. A fascinating collecting hobby. One of the most fascinating of all hobbies is that of Dinky Toys collecting. Now this is before the Second World War, so many of the iconic planes of the time aren't going to appear here, but we do see things like the Junkers Ju-90, which is quite interesting. And the aeroplanes continue over here with some other offerings. Look at this one, what a fantastic early helicopter that is. And the Empire flying boat, which looks really impressive. Then we're coming on to cars and car accessories. And here we have a postal set with a van, some post boxes, and even some postmen, and a telephone box as well. Every car collection needs some racing cars, and we have them very much of the period. And we have some cars down here with drivers, passengers and footmen, it says. And up here we've got Thunderbolt speed car and the Hotchkiss racing car as well. And here we have a 3-wheel delivery van down in the corner. That looks really quite cool. Made in the Meccano factory in Paris. And the vehicles continue on this spread here. We're getting more into trucks and vans now, but we've got the mechanical horse up here, ideal for model railways with various different trailers that you can add onto it. And we've got things like delivery vans and various motor vehicles, and even an illustration of a caravan number 30G. Got some small cars down here, and then over on this side we've got a taxi with driver, streamline bus. Look at that, like space age. A fantastic looking tram car, and we've got some motorbikes as well, police and civilian. And then some buildings here, a garage and a petrol station with petrol pumps as well. So we're getting towards the end of the catalogue now, and on this page we've got some military gear down here, and up here we've got a Royal Tank Corps light tank set. So this was very much swapped out very early on in the Second World War, I can tell you that. And then we've got signs up here, and traffic signals and beacons, all the accessories you would need. And over here we've got figures including station staff, passengers, engineering staff, train and hotel staff, and then we've got RAC, AA, and police as well. On this page we have some Dinky railway items, and there's a number of different options you can get here with wagons. These would just be push-along models. You get this diesel rail car, looks like someone out of a science fiction film, and you also get the Great Western Railway rail car. A streamlined train set which looks like something like Mallard there. And just under this piece of paper it says richly enamelled in attractive colour combinations. And then we have this streamlined diesel articulated train. I'm not quite sure what the prototype of that is, but it looks fantastic. It looks like it could be from Dan Dare. And then over here we have some dinky ships. For example, we have the Queen Mary here, the Cunard White Star Liner, the Normandy, and the Dunkirk battleship here as well. Now we're getting very close to the end of this catalogue now, so we've got a few things here, more Dinky. We've got the Dolly Varden doll's house for Dinky Toys furniture. We saw the furniture early on, but here is the doll's house, and look at the size of that. It's got a tennis court out the front and a drive as well. We've got another mechanical horse up here in the LMS livery, some animals as well, pavement set, a tractor, another tank as well. That looks very old-fashioned, certainly by comparison to something like the Sherman, which was only going to come a few years later. And the shepherd set as well with some sheep and a sheepdog. And over here we have the aeroplane constructor outfits. So we're back to Meccano here. We've got a couple of different aeroplanes that you can make. A model of a standard light biplane built with number 1 outfit, and a model of a triple engined airliner built with number 2 airplane outfit. And you even get clockwork motors that can be used in these as well. Look at that, that's a fantastic set. And this is the last page that we've got to look at. It's more special airplane constructor outfits. We've just seen a couple already, but now we can build these other ones as well. All really fantastic. Look at the boxes that these come in. It's really quite cool. So this catalogue is actually missing a couple of pages at the back, and it's missing the cover at the back as well because it's fallen apart during its 80 plus years lifespan, so it's to be expected, I guess. But anyway, that's that catalogue. Some fantastic things for the 1930s child to have a look at. It just screams of a more optimistic time and just before the tragedy of the Second World War as well, when things that you've seen in here would have changed forever. But I hope you like looking at this catalogue. It's been really very interesting for me to see this catalogue. I hope you've enjoyed it as well. Let me know in the comments below what you thought about this item. I'd love to know what you think. And if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps this channel. Normally I put things on the turntable to wrap up, but obviously I'm going to put this on the turntable. I'll put on screen a link to another video in a moment, and if you click on that, I'll see you there. Thanks for watching this video. That's it for now. See ya.